Oil prices are taking a bloodbath today. Oil prices right now are $42.20. Let's refresh this thing and see. It's $42.31, and Brent crude is currently trading at $46 a barrel. The Russia OPEC bromance is over after OPEC so brazenly decided on collective OPEC plus cuts of 1.5 million barrels per day without Russia's input or blessing. The oil cartel that used to be able to go it alone when it comes to manipulating markets decided the non-OPEC members would need to cut 500,000 barrels per day of what, with Russia being the largest producer in that group, it assumed that it would have to shoulder most of those cuts. But Russia didn't appreciate the audacious decide, now ask permission later routine. And today at the meeting in Vienna, Russia failed to agree to any additional cuts, let alone 500,000 barrels per day. Russia is pissed, and they cannot be controlled or manipulated. And Russia, here's the thing. Saudi Arabia needs Russia now. Before, Saudi Arabia had a good standing relationship with America. Richard Nixon, when he was in office, Richard Kissinger, they made an agreement with Saudi Arabia to sell. Saudi Arabia agreed to sell their oil in U.S. currency, and we would import their oil, making the petrodollar. And it made our U.S. currency the most powerful currency in the world, because every country that bought oil, it had to be done in U.S. currency, forcing them to have to use a central bank. That's why our central banking system is in every country except for two, North Korea and Cuba. And so that relationship between Saudi Arabia and America has died underneath Trump administration, because not only are we not importing their oil anymore because we're producing so much oil, we're taking their relationships. We're stealing their clients. And so Saudi Arabia has lost a lot of market share because Trump is flooding the markets with shale oil. And then shale oil, thus causing oil prices to be reduced down to an average of $50-something a barrel over the last 5 years. So the relationship between Saudi Arabia and America has faltered and has fell apart. And not only that, our military presence is not as powerful as it once was under the Bush administration in the Middle East, because we've been pulling out and Trump continues to pull out. And so now he's forced to do business with the devil, Putin. And Putin showed defiance today by saying, look, you're not going to control us. We're not going to agree to any output cuts. Good luck to you. But I think Russia knows that they don't need the relationship with Saudi Arabia. And I think the Russian agenda has all along been to take control of the Middle East. And Saudi Arabia knows that. And that's why they know they need Russia right now. But today, the show of defiance says to me that relationship is coming to an end. And it's probably been very rocky to the start. What is going to happen in the Middle East? What is Putin's agenda? It'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of months, because he showed his hand very clearly today by the act of defiance and showing he's not willing to play games with Saudi Arabia. So there's something wrong with the relationship, and I think deep down he has a plan of defiance, and it is going to continue, but by military force. See in the coming days, I think Putin has an agenda. I think the agenda is to break the backs of the shale industry. With oil prices around $40-something a barrel, shale output is going to drop. Shale can't survive under $55 oil, let alone $40-something a barrel. Unbelievable. If you are invested in shale, if you are invested in the oil stock market, you're taking a major bloodbath today. Okay. Now, if you're in conventional oil plays and investing directly into oil wells, then you're okay. These oil prices at $40-something a barrel hit the first time in 2004, and we're drilling. If you're drilling wells for the same price in 2004 as you are today, then you're okay. But it's those guys that are invested in shale. Most of the oil companies that are on the stock exchange are shale companies. That's why the stocks are falling dramatically right now, because it's just not economically feasible at these prices. But anyways, in the coming days, keep an eye on Russia. What are they going to show even more defiance to Saudi Arabia? What's going to happen to Saudi Arabia? Are they going to curb production, or are they going to let it fall? Okay. Oil prices could drop down to 30 something dollars a barrel, but don't fear, it can't stay there that long. Whether it stays there naturally and nobody manipulates oil prices, Shell is going to fall apart, and many of the oil companies around the world are just going to shut down. I mean, if they're not making money, they can't keep the company running, and those oil wells will be orphan wells, and they'll just sit there and not produce anymore. So you're going to see less oil flooding the markets. You're going to see a lot of people stepping out of the oil industry, and it's going to clean up a lot of that glut of oil. Trump knows that he has to have oil prices over 40 something dollars a barrel. He has to have them at least 55. And even at 55, shale is hurting tremendously. And so he cares about America. He cares about our country. What is his reaction to this, what's going on in the Middle East? What is his reaction to Russia defying Saudi Arabia? And what is Saudi Arabia's reaction to Russia? The fact that they're a sitting duck in the Middle East now. They don't have the West to protect their oil reserves like they once had. That relationship with Russia that they so need in the Middle East has completely been eradicated today. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here in the next coming weeks. I'm Sean Pruitt, president of Kingdom Exploration. If you like these videos, please subscribe.